using LinkedIn to promote your brand. Jeff and James asked me to come in, talk a little bit more about LinkedIn, kind of piggybacking off of a meetup from a few months back. Sounds like there's a lot of curiosity about how important it is to have your own brand as a professional, and regardless of the situation you're in, you know, if you're a job seeker, if you're, you know, looking for new hires, if you're just looking to network, if you want to learn more about your industry specifically and what other people are doing, maybe they're using a different tool that you're interested in, or maybe the same tool in a different way. There's a lot of different things that you can do on LinkedIn to help promote your brand and network and become more knowledgeable kind of across the board. A little bit about me. My name's Kerilyn George now. I got married. If you guys get a business card, it still says Taraskevich. All information's good. It'll still get to me. But I went to MSU with a degree in psychology and criminal justice. Decided that wasn't for me, and ended up at RMC as an IT recruiter. I've been there for about 4.5 years now. Jeez, time flies. So yeah, I spend a lot of my day in LinkedIn. I got my CPSP back in October, which is a Certified People Sourcing Professional certificate, I guess. So even in there, we touched a lot on LinkedIn, kind of the importance of it, a lot of the different functionalities that could be a little overwhelming to a new user. And I guess with that being said, does everybody here have a LinkedIn profile? Okay. Do you guys use it pretty actively, or are you kind of just passive, looking around? Active? Passive? Okay. So to start off, why LinkedIn? First of all, it's the lead professional social media website. There are hundreds of millions, I forget the exact number, of professionals that are registered and have a profile on LinkedIn. It's global. They change it a little bit specific, so we see the US piece. But it's really, and I mentioned this earlier, it's a great place to network and to learn a lot about your industry. You can tailor it. It's kind of going to be tailored to what you want to get out of it, what you're looking to do with it. It's a top sourcing tool for recruiters too. It's a good way to find passive candidates and for us to learn as well. And if an employer or anybody searches you, 9 times out of 10, you're the first result in Google that pops up. So to give you an example of how crazy it is. So my LinkedIn's the first thing that pops up. There's last on there now too. So just some key things to keep in mind and why it's important. So when it comes to your profile, who doesn't have a picture? Does anybody have a picture with somebody else in it? Okay, so you need a picture. You're 11 times more likely to be viewed on LinkedIn if you have a picture. So aside from your profile could be perfect minus the picture, it's going to hinder you a little bit. You want to keep it professional when it comes to your picture. You don't want to have your kids in the background. They want to know who you are and be able to put a face to the name. Your profile, it's not a resume. It's really similar. You're going to talk about your job duties and what you worked on, but you want to make sure that you're more personable, you're more genuine on LinkedIn than you are on a resume. It should be more light than anything. So when you're looking at LinkedIn, I've got an example here. You want to consider more pronouns. So say, my experience includes developing new social strategies to blank, as opposed to develop the new social media strategy. You know, make it more personable in that sense. And it's okay to describe more things. If you've got a gap, if it's been a couple years since you were working or something like that, you can say, took a year off to travel the country, went to, Europe, backpacked, it was amazing, or decided to be a stay-at-home parent. That's a place where you can really put that in. So it can piggyback off your resume a little bit too, when a potential employer might look at your LinkedIn from there. It's important to describe your successes on LinkedIn. One thing that, especially with really successful people, if you've mastered a project, you don't want to come off as arrogant or you're bragging or things like that. But in this case, LinkedIn the community there, they want to hear about your successes. They want to congratulate you. They want to know how you did it so they can learn from it and be better too. So it's a really positive, for the most part, platform with everybody being really supportive within your network. Another thing that is a big deal, I think, is kind of talking about benefits and not features. And Julie Bondi Roberts actually has a good article that I'll pull up really quick with some examples on what to put in your summary and how to word things. Oh geez. And her one example, so if your profile sounds like her client John did, it's bad. So I'm an experienced business development leader with a track record of success in multiple positions. I'm hands-on, outgoing team player. I'm looking for a company culture and position to utilize my skills and many years of experience to contribute to their growth and overall success. So she talks about how it lacks humanity, you know, it lacks results. He says that he can do these things but doesn't really provide any examples. And it focuses more on the features rather than benefits. I won't read this whole article, but to give you a little bit of examples that are more positive, you know, I thrive in a challenge. Got chaos, stuck in neutral, I'm on it. I love pulling companies and teams forward in their mission. You know, it tells what he's interested in, what he's passionate about, and how, you know, he wants to continue doing that. And I'll post these too to the meetup page, so if you want to go back through and read this whole article, it's got a lot of good nuggets in it for what you can use for your profile as well. From current slide. Okay. So connections, I imagine since everybody's got a profile, you've gotten connections or sent out connections. There is a character limit. LinkedIn, Adrian mentioned this to me this morning, I actually didn't realize. LinkedIn had an update not too long ago and changed it, so you've got almost triple the amount of characters that you had before to send out a connection. LinkedIn will prompt it just to say, I would like to add you to my network. It's really a better idea to make sure that when you're connecting with people, you send a personal message. You know, hey, we used to work together at this place. How's it going now, kind of thing. Make sure that it's tailored to them. You know, you don't want it to come off spammy. If it's, you know, if you're a job seeker and you've applied to a position, you know, you want to connect with that manager of that company, you can say, hi, I know you work at this company. I actually applied for a role. I'm really interested. Like, how do you enjoy your time at X company? Something along those lines. There's an email option, so you can only connect with people who are a second or third connection. So if somebody's outside your network, for you to message them, you have to send an in-mail. To send an in-mail, you have to pay, which is pretty frustrating. It can get expensive. It's like, depending on the plan you get, it ranges from $30 a month up to $100 a month. But I'll share this with you guys. There is a way to kind of go around that when you're connecting with people you don't know. Or if this might work in your case too. If they're not in your network for the UX stuff, then you might have a better way. So John Smith, cool. These are all second connections for me, so I can just connect with them, add a personal note. But if I go to a different page, we have a shared, okay, same guy. So this is gonna prompt me to send an in-mail. It's gonna take me over here, say, sign up for one of these. Which one's for you? Are you looking to get a career? Are you trying to grow your business? Are you in sales and trying to get new clients? If you're recruiting, looking for talent, you know, there's different plans. They give you different features. We don't wanna do that. I mean, I guess you could if you wanted to. I'm still debating whether it's worth the money that they charge you and the features, but if you click up here on these little dots, now I can just click connect and then add a note instead of sending the LinkedIn member, you know, whatever they send over. I don't know this person. He's in Salt Lake City. Definitely not going to connect with him, but that's kind of a way around the in-mail subscription. So then you're connected. Now what? If you have a direct purpose, you know, obviously message them, ask them questions. a little bit more than, hey, how's it going? You know, you want to have something specific that is targeted. Hey, I saw on your LinkedIn that you're using QTP or UFT. It's a better example. We're still using QTP. What are the differences that you've learned in using UFT as opposed to QTP? I'm trying to find a way for that to benefit my company. You know, now you've got some more dialogue, and they might push you to somebody else who has a better idea of it. But always when somebody connects with you, you should follow up. LinkedIn is kind of like Facebook now. So they've got the little messaging thing down at the bottom. So you can just type right out, send it. This is my coworker, he says good luck. And then, yeah, Adrian. So you can have, it's kind of like Facebook if you have one of those. But that's a good way. It sends out messages. It's easy. There's a mobile app for it too for LinkedIn. So if you get messages through there, it's a lot easier to respond than just, you know, going through and saying, okay, it's a bad example. I'll go to Adrian's. Here it is, Adrian. Thanks for letting me go to your profile in front of everybody. So over here is her contact and personal information. So we're obviously connected. I could shoot her a message on LinkedIn. I could obviously call her. Her email's there. I'd argue that when you connect with somebody on LinkedIn, you're more likely to get a response if you send them a direct message on LinkedIn and then kind of go from there, even if they have their information here. Sometimes, depending on their privacy settings, if you don't connect with them or you can't connect with them, say you don't have the in-mail and the little trick I showed you didn't work, sometimes people have their email public. So you can look over there, get their email address, and reach out to them that way. Make an introduction or catch up if it's somebody that you know.
Do you know why that says Hunter on my profile? I've never seen that.
Oh, I should talk about that. The Hunter thing is a Chrome add-on that I have. So I'm a recruiter. I'm constantly looking for candidates and things, and sometimes they don't have their email on the side. So this add-on that I have, 96% confidence it should be 100. It's right there. But yeah, so, and it pulls up, tells you the confidence of what their email is so you can reach out to them. It's a little creepy, but.
How do you get that?
Through Chrome in your settings, I think. Or you can even just Google it and type Chrome add-on Hunter. It's free. So that's great. And I know you're looking for candidates and jobs for interns and stuff too. Another thing that you might want to look at is Connectifier or Profit. Those are also add-ons, and it does something similar. It also pulls up all of their social media. So I'm not logged in, but this would pull up Adrian's Facebook, her Twitter, Instagram, whatever else was associated with that email address, I believe.
So Connectifier, and what was the other one?
Profit. All right. So, creating posts. Anybody post regularly on LinkedIn? Yeah. Adrian's our marketing and communications specialist. Yeah, she's in that all day. Creating posts can be hard. You might have a lot of thoughts, a lot of ideas, kind of have a hard time wording it, have a hard time reaching out to the right people that you're looking for. You know, just a couple things out of the gate. It's LinkedIn. It's meant to be a professional networking site. You know, definitely stay away from the politics, how your Friday night was. You know, you want to post relevant articles. So if you're using LinkedIn because you want to learn more about the testing industry or the UX industry, whatever it may be, you know, try to keep it tailored to that, because then more people will see that. Every time somebody likes it, that your post will view on a different their connections that you might not even know just because they liked it. So that'll help tailor your pool to something specific. comments, replying. You want to be timely with that stuff. If you do post something and somebody responds to you directly, try to follow up. You'll start more dialect, more people will join in on the conversation. If you're not posting and you see a post and it's interesting, comment, say something, because you don't know if somebody else is going to say something that's relevant to what you're looking for or something that you want to learn about or know about, and then you'll get the notifications that says so-and-so commented. So that's a good way to get dialect going. LinkedIn has analytics pretty much around everything. Posts especially. And what's frustrating for me is that I was frustrated at work, so I posted on LinkedIn. That's a bad way to start. But I had a candidate who had 10 years of experience, had all the skills that they were looking for. He did this job in Afghanistan, pretty much with bombs going off behind him, and they wouldn't even consider him or talk to him because he didn't have a bachelor's degree. So I posted, I'll pull it up. I had no idea I was going to get the response that I did. I was honestly just trying to vent. Bachelor's degree versus military experience. If a company requires a degree, do you think military experience should be considered? It kills me when I have a great candidate for a position who has a ton of experience, but they won't even be looked at because they decided to go in the military right out of high school instead of getting a 4-year degree. I don't post too often. I should be a lot better at it. A lot of times if I do, I post articles that I thought were interesting. This was probably one of the few times that I wrote something from scratch. My post hit over 150,000 people. It's got 735 likes, 330 comments. Again, with the timely response. LinkedIn understands if it gets that big, like you can't do it. It was a job all, and I would come into work the next morning, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't follow up with all these people. But usually on the side here, it'll tell you who's viewed your post, where your biggest audience is. Obviously, I'm talking about the military. I had a lot of views from the Army, from the Navy. My biggest audience was in DC and New York, and then occasionally Detroit. Lansing kind of fell a little bit short. But this post alone, I connected with probably 45 people. I got 3 or 4 people on the phone who wanted to learn a little bit more, wanted to know, hey, we're in the military, we're in IT too, like, can we work together? Like, how can you help us? Kind of thing. So that's all because I was frustrated at work. But that's a good example of a post and how wide it can get spread. I'm just an IT recruiter in Lansing, and now New York is viewing my post. But yeah, and then some other examples, articles, 10 things great leaders do. This is Adrian. We had our Vets Returning Home fundraiser. That was great to put out there too on LinkedIn because our company's trying to give back. I think we got a lot of response from posting that on LinkedIn, no? And this is where I'm not going to forget to talk about recommendations because I keep forgetting about it. Are you guys familiar with recommendations? Are you familiar with endorsements? So that's a big piece for your profile too. It makes you stand out a little bit more. Recommendations are different than endorsements. So you get your featured skills. If somebody endorses you, they just click, yay, yeah, you know how to do that. It has value, but anybody can really click it even if they don't know you. But what really holds a lot of ground are recommendations. So you can ask people to give you a recommendation on maybe a project that you guys worked on together to help build out your LinkedIn a little bit more. That kind of goes with the same thing as connecting with people. You want to make sure that you keep that personalized too and don't use the stock LinkedIn. I'm trying to make my profile better. Recommend me. But yeah, and this is something that you can't edit. You can't change it. You can say if you want it on your profile or not, but when you look at them, you know that, this is what Caitlin said about me and working together. This is what Corey said. Those are his words. Posts, Yeah. And you guys have any questions?
I have something to add. It's not on, right? Okay. It should be a green thing, so. Okay. I was just gonna say, another good way to get a recommendation is to give one first.
Yes.
So if you're working with someone, obviously you're mutually benefiting each other, so give them a recommendation first, and then they are very likely to give you one back.
Definitely. Yeah, at this point, Adrian and I probably should have done that already. It's been 4.5 years. But yeah, that's another way to help kind of build out your profile. And obviously when you're posting, you don't want to spam. You don't want to overpost. It's not like Twitter where you're supposed to send out a tweet every 5, 10, whatever it is. I don't understand Twitter. But you want to make sure that it's relevant, you're not spamming people, and you're not being negative. Keep it positive. Everybody's on there to network. Everybody is looking to get something and to give something and to make everybody better professionals in the long run and to, come together. So post analytics are pretty cool. Yep.
About the recommender, how many do you need, and how far back do you ask for recommendations? Because I don't know, I don't find a lot of time to do that kind of thing, but so I basically have to rely on the people who know what we've done and what I've done, and they just name recognition, that kind of thing. But I can see where having a certain number of people add that or have that, and me to take the time to do it first.
Sure. So I'd kind of bring that back to how you lay out a resume. You're not going to put on your resume something that you've done from the 90s, arguably, unless it's super relevant to what you're doing, or if you were, changing industries or something, and you're like, but I've done it before, I switched, now I'm trying to come back, then it kind of makes more sense. You don't want all your recommendations to come from so far back that it's not relevant, especially in the IT space. If your technology changes so rapidly that, it's nice that you have it, but no one uses that technology anymore. It doesn't mean that there's not a place for it when they're so far back, but you want to fill it with relevant stuff too and newer things. I don't know that you can have too many recommendations. Even if you had one, I think it will boost your profile and things more than if you didn't have any at all. In my case, I think I only have like 6 or 9. 9. Trying to think who's a good example for that, Adrian. Brez. I think he's got a lot of them. So Nick is an account manager at RMC. He's been an account manager now, I think, for about 1.5 years. So he works a lot with hiring managers, more so than the candidate side. And so yeah, he's got 13 recommendations he's given to, even just scrolling like, oh, okay, Nick had a Active Directory guy recommend him. There's a recruiter that recommended him. I think that's from a different, that was probably from CMU, I think. But, you can see he's given to, you can see who he's given recommendations to. So giving them has a place too. This might help you a lot too. If you give a recommendation to somebody who has that network of people that you're trying to target, they can go and find it. So Nick Lochner, okay, he gave a recommendation to Nick. Maybe Nick is somebody who I want to reach out to, I want to be connected to. I know Nick, he's obviously a great guy. He's got the right skill sets that I'm looking for, the right knowledge base. Now you can, hey, I see that you know Nick Bresno. We were talking about blah, blah, blah. Wanted to reach out. It's kind of trickle effect, if you will. And then let's see, Nick's probably got, so he's got 5, he's given 2. They endorsed each other. But yeah, you can't have too many. It's good to have the ones that are further back, but naturally they're gonna get pushed out. They're not gonna be the ones to show up. Somebody would have to actually click, oh, view 3 more recommendations. Okay, how far back does it go? If you're looking for a specific skill set or something like that though, and it's further back, I think it's relevant. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. Trucking along. So group pages, company pages, any of you guys utilize those? Cool. Does anybody not know what they are? Okay. So there's pretty much a group out there for anything. I'll go back into LinkedIn to show you what they are. You can join up to 100 groups. That's it. If you want to join 101, you're going to have to leave one. Groups are really cool because if you're looking to learn about a new technology, for example, you can go to a group for UFT. And I know that there's, someone's going to have to help me. It's the ISTQB? Yes. There's group pages out there for members of that, for going through the certification and things like, there's a group for everything. And that's a great way to make new connections. If you're starting out in a new technology or new to your career or whatever the case may be, you can ask questions, learn how people are using it in their environment, and vice versa. If you know a little bit more about it and have better ideas for them and their questions, you can do the same. So that give and take, kind of being able to network with, people in your groups. You don't have to be connected if you're in the same group either to respond to people. So if you share that group, they'll be able to see your message regardless of the privacy settings that are set up just because you're both a part of that group. When it comes to company pages, that would be specific to a company. So I think TechSmith has a company page on LinkedIn. RMC's got one. Obviously all your big names have one, Apple, Microsoft, all those. You can follow up to 1,000 companies. I'm not really sure why anybody would like to follow 1,000 companies. But this is helpful if you're in a job search or if you're looking for candidates potentially. I know, Sarah, for you that's important, but you can target certain companies that have that technology or have a big group of that skill set that you're looking for and make connections with them through the company page. You can see jobs that they're posting through their company page. Smaller companies typically don't have the job post there because they think it costs however much money. LinkedIn likes to make people pay for things. But for those of you who don't know group pages, so you can pretty much just do a search for anything. So in my case, I know I'm a part of this group. You go .NET, and then you can search people with .NET, jobs that have .NET, posts, companies, groups, schools. So in this case, if we look at groups, the .NET developer group has a ton of members. And then the rule for hyperlink posts. So there's rules to every group. As a recruiter, you're really cognizant of it because if you start blasting jobs, they don't like that. That's not necessarily what groups are for. It's meant to have that dialogue and learn. But this guy obviously thought that this was a relevant article for people in this group. What's test-driven development? Apparently there's not too much activity going on with as many people that are in here. I'm surprised. Most groups you'll have back and forth conversations and questions and things like that and kind of ideas on what to do better. So maybe that was a bad example.
Group's too big.
Yeah, it might be. So this is new too, that it takes you to a different area. It's not just sitting in your LinkedIn. But if you did testing, oh no, that's in .NET. Geez, oh Pete's. Oh, one thing I wanted to mention too, we were talking about post analytics, but LinkedIn has a lot of different kind of analytics in it. So you can see who viewed your profile. So 950 people viewed my profile. I have been down since last week for like a month now, ever since I had that post, and over 150,000 people viewed my post. But this will tell you, I don't know how it filters it out on who they show you viewed your profile and who didn't. But like I can see, oh, Rachel looked at my profile. Why'd she do that? Oh, she's finishing up training. She's new to RMC here. So she's probably going through social media training. But you can kind of look through and say, oh, this person viewed my profile. You view them back, they'll see that you viewed them. Maybe you have some common connection. You can start that conversation and connect with people. It also shows you where they work, like the side 15 work at the U.S. Army. I'm pretty sure that's still from my post that came through, the Navy. Again, LinkedIn likes your money. So for you to view everybody that viewed your profile, I'd have to reactivate to my premium subscription, which at this point I don't find very relevant because my network's big enough. I can search enough to use LinkedIn for what I want without paying.
So I had a question about, in the group versus your main feed when you click on home. Does being in the various groups, does that prioritize what shows up in your feed? I mean, from your experience, is that what it's looked like?
Unless they changed it in the update, if somebody posts in your group, you should see that. Do you know if they changed that?
I don't think they've changed it, but they also send, if you're in, several groups, you'll also get emails. So you'll get like an email that has a summary of the groups that you're in, and it'll give you updates on that.
Right, like work anniversaries and
Yep, or
changes.
yep, or any posts that they make, regardless. Just if they put something new in there, you'll get that, and you can change how often you get those, whether it's daily or weekly or monthly or never. You can go in your settings and change that. I don't know. Did we answer your question?
So it does kind of, the groups you're in does kind of prioritize or influence what's showing up in your main feed, because I don't think they could show you everything from every group you've ever been in.
Yes. Yeah.
You can change your news feed too. You can either sort it by the top, like what's getting the most traction, or you can change it by what's recent. And I guess you can kind of pick and choose what you're looking to get out of it. It's a lot different with the recent one. 10 new connection made in your network. Interesting. So that just means people in my network are connecting with other people that I don't know. I guess it's not too different. Ads, of course. But other groups about tester. I'm gonna see if there's one that has. Some of them are specific to your location too. So I know there's a .NET group for Detroit. It's a little harder to find with the update. You used to be able to search for groups and still do an advanced search and sort it by location. I haven't quite figured out how to do that with the update yet, without finding things that are relevant. But this one, so 947 members. A lot of times when you join a group too, you have to get it approved by the administrator, and make sure you know the rules and you're gonna follow them. So there's a lot of people in here, no activity. I probably wouldn't join that group. Company pages are good for a lot of different reasons if they use the tool. I think I mentioned this, if they have a certain pool of people you're looking for. So if I type dang. So here's our company page. You can see people who are following it. You can see people who work there too. So if you're looking for a specific person, you can go that way about it. You can see jobs. Right now RMC is not paying to have our jobs on LinkedIn, but it gives you kind of the about us, what we do. I have 10 connections at that company. And then you can post stuff in the company page. People might view it. And you can see kind of the things that, shows what's important to that company, what they care about, values, things.
Before you leave that, I have another question. Sorry, I don't want to be...
Ask away. It's supposed to be interactive.
Some others, I'm sure, have questions. So while you're on that page, your company page, it says up there, hey, see all 17, but there's also probably hundreds of people. And in some case, some of the companies are thousands. Is there a way to say, I want to see who's in web development in those companies, who's in UI, UX, user experience?
Yeah.
So I get to the company and I see, oh yeah, we've got 15 mutual connections, but there's 200,000 people at the company.
Yep,
And those 15 aren't any of the ones I'm actually looking for.
Yeah, there's a way. So in this case, 141,000.
Yeah, there you go.
So all these people should still be within that group. Microsoft, Microsoft, Microsoft. So then you have these filters. Mm-hmm. Over here, you can tailor it by location. You can't just put Michigan. You have to, I have a list too, I should have brought it. It's every city in the nation that LinkedIn recognizes. So in Michigan, the big ones are Lansing, Detroit, Greater Grand Rapids, Flint, Saginaw is one altogether, but you can just add that. So I don't know. I feel like maybe we should do Seattle since it's Microsoft, but okay, 390, perfect. You can also do keywords. So
Yeah, that's the one I tried actually just the other day because I didn't see where I could put in user experience researcher.
you might have to play around with the title. You can go down to industries, tailor it a little bit that way. You can add it. There might be a what else can we say? User experience, UX.
Interaction design.
Design, graphic design.
Oh, UX design.
There you go. UX intern at Microsoft. So she's in Detroit. You might want to intern. So and it can be tough when you're searching like that too.
It's slow going.
It can be. But then language, not schools, different industries. You can even switch it as like, was this their past company, current company? But that's a good way to target people too.
Thank you.
Something specific to you that might be beneficial, and especially since you're already so familiar with Boolean, would be to X-ray LinkedIn and get Google. Are you familiar with Google X-ray? We can talk about that later. That might help you a lot. So company pages, jobs, Microsoft might be a good example too, just to see how jobs will show up too if you're looking. See jobs. So almost 5,000 jobs posted recently. See all jobs. You can kind of UX designer, QA tester, and sort it by that if you're interested in that specific company. And then I think it's going to lead me into what I want to say next. Okay, privacy. So we talked about job seekers. There's a lot of different reasons to be on LinkedIn. Obviously, you want to grow as a professional, you want to network, it's important. If you are a job seeker, LinkedIn is a great place to look for jobs. It's a great place to network with people and try to get your name out there. Online portals, when you apply to places, are a giant black hole. It's hard to get through them. Not everybody gets their resume even reviewed because they've got 350 that they have to go through. So LinkedIn's a big part of that. A lot of times it goes directly to a person and not some ATS system. And there's a way you can tailor your profile and play around with the privacy if you don't want your current company knowing that you're looking. A good way to do that is to hide your activity but keep your profile public. So if you want to be noticed, if you want recruiters or companies to find your profile and still be able to view it without connecting, but you want to make sure you hide your activity. So everything that I've clicked on today, everything that I've searched, you can go to my profile and look at my activity and you can see that. I keep it open because for me, LinkedIn is an open platform. I want to connect with everybody that I can and be a resource for everybody that I can when I can. And I would hope that they're able to reach out to me and do the same. So depending on what your goal is with LinkedIn and how you want to use it will depend on your privacy. So settings and privacy. So if I go to privacy, edit your public profile. So this is what, if we weren't connected, what my profile would look like to you guys. So Fort Bragg Friends, I think it's down in St. Louis. It's a recruiting effort for veterans specifically. I got a soft spot for veterans, obviously, so I obviously like that post. Other things I've liked, and then all my stuff you can look on the side. My contact information is public. Where'd that go? Huh. I feel like it should show me in this spot. Well, all my information's public too. My phone number, it's my work number, my email, my Twitter's on there. If you've got a social media platform that you keep professional and you want people to have access to, you can put those links. You can also put your resume in your summary, upload the document so they can look at it that way. But if you don't want people to follow your activity, you just have to uncheck this post and activities button. If you don't want people to see your summary without connecting with you, unclick that box. Do we remember what it defaults to?
It defaults to
Visible to no one? Okay. So that's something to check where your security or settings are at. If you want to be visible to no one, it's going to be hard for you to make connections too. Even if you know the person. But yeah, so something to be mindful. If you want open, I think Caitlin's a good example. Have you heard of Lion profiles? Let me pull it up because I just noticed that she had it. Like all these people are gonna know I viewed their profile too. They're like, what is she doing? So Caitlin Parker. So next to her name it says Lion. That means she's a LinkedIn open networker. She will accept anybody that decides to connect with her. She's not gonna say I don't know anybody or you're spam. If you get told, if you get flagged enough saying I don't know this person or spam, then LinkedIn gets upset with you and they'll kick you off. They give you a warning, I think, and then they limit your access. You can only search so much. You can only view so much for a certain period of time. They put you on probation. So that's kind of how this Lion thing started. People were trying to network with anybody and everybody and just have all these connections, and they were getting kicked off LinkedIn. Do you guys have any questions around, I guess, privacy settings or anything like that?
So there's something on there
You just add it next to your profile. So she typed that in, like when LinkedIn asks you your name. Yeah, so if I, no, settings.
So LinkedIn knows to look for that then somehow?
No, unless you did a search on like lion, but you might get a bunch of people that work at a zoo too. It's just something like if it's there, that's what that means. So, you know, her profile is open. You're going to be able to see everything. It doesn't have anything, you know, hidden or things like that. There's another, and then, so name, location, industry. So all she did, I believe this is how you do it. So yeah, visible to my network. And then after George, I would just put lion. And then people know. But this is something too, share profile changes. So that's not in that that sidebar where you can just unclick it. So if I were to change anything, like when I changed my name, people got notifications about it. Kerilyn Taraskevich is now Kerilyn George. If you switch jobs, it's really just anything you do to your profile, it updates. Which for me, it doesn't matter if I change it. It's kind of a good thing. If I add that I got my CPSP, I have a certification now, that change goes out. Now it's like, hey, how'd you do that? How'd you get that certification? Oh my gosh, our company is looking for somebody who has this certification. So that creates a little bit more dialogue. Why do I keep saying that? And then you can kind of grow from there. A lot of little things can kind of add up together within LinkedIn to really get your name out there and have a bigger presence. When I started at RMC, I had 11 connections. That's embarrassing. And now, just from growing my network and connecting with people and having, apparently posting when you're upset about work, I'm up to 2,789. And I've learned a lot from LinkedIn. There's a lot of times where you're not a poster, and that's okay. And you read the articles and you read the conversations and you go through the comments and you like things, and you can get a good idea and a good understanding of your industry and where it's heading, and how things are moving, which is really important for you to stay up to date with your industry, your technologies, whatever it may be, so you don't fall behind and you don't get stagnant. It's easy to work at one place for so long and just, this is what it is, and have no idea on what's kind of in the outside world, really. And you know, now you're on LinkedIn and you can see that stuff, and you go to your boss and you say, hey, I got this idea. Let's work with this. And now next thing you know, you're up for a promotion. I mean, it's not an overnight kind of thing, but that can kind of work to your advantage. These people on the side, when you reach is 5,000, I think when you get to 5,000 connections, you can't connect with people anymore, and you have to be followed. You're like too good for the whole system. So like these guys, you can follow them. You can't connect with them. They have too many connections. So you can follow their activity and see what they post. I think they can see if you choose to follow them. Does my ninja thing work? No. You have to have his email. So it's a little different. I know we talked about jobs. I don't know if anybody's searching or not, but it's kind of a good thing to know down the road. You can search for jobs on LinkedIn. Almost every client we work with, Adrian, correct me if I'm wrong, posts jobs on LinkedIn to help source for candidates and to see if they can get more quality candidates than just posting on a job board. You know, we want a lead architect, and you get 5 resumes of somebody who's flipping burgers at Burger King that apparently think that they're qualified, and then have to go through all those. So there's a big push with LinkedIn to try and get more quality candidates. through that way, and then a lot of times it goes directly to the HR manager. So you're kind of staying more out of the portals. You're more forward-facing with the right people. You can change settings on here too. It can give you updates. A lot of times the suggested jobs for me are .NET developers, software testers, just because I'm in the industry, but I'm not. I guess I should plug this in. But that's a good way to search for jobs and to, see what else is out there. You can also search by company, and then it'll take you to the company page, like we mentioned before, to go through that. Following companies, if you're looking for a position there, is really important, because a lot of times they'll look at that stuff. Employers, what was the statistic? It's like 78% of employers are going to look at your social media after they look at your resume if they have interest. And then there's, I forget the percentage of employers that will look at it, see something negative, and just move on, as opposed to even giving you the time of day. So with LinkedIn, if your Facebook isn't very professional, it's one thing if it's your kids and stuff, but if you're out partying all night and everybody's drunk in your profile picture, that's not something that you want to have associated to your LinkedIn. You want to keep it as professional as possible and put your Facebook to private. That way you don't hurt the brand that you're making on LinkedIn. Go ahead.
Okay, now we're green. So when trying to keep it professional, I saw on the who to follow, like the suggestions were Jessica Alba and things like, yeah.
So what do you know about Jessica Alba, though?
I'm guessing that's the actress.
It is. She stopped acting a while ago because she decided to start this company. I should not know so much about Jessica Alba. Founder of The Honest Company. So hers is about her company and what she's doing. It's not about her movies. Entrepreneur of the Year Award, Grace Kelly Award, these are all organization, Baby to Baby, I don't know what that is. She's got a publication. These are her interests. So for her, and arguably that could be an acting picture, but for her stuff, this is all about her company that she created when she, chilled out with the whole acting thing.
Not saying that people shouldn't follow people like that, but would it, if even though you're trying to keep it professional, trying to add that human touch to it, how do you find the
Where's the line?
Yeah, where's the line? Because if you were, say, a diehard, going along with the example, Jessica Alba fan, and you're very interested in that, but at least for me, when I looked at that, it was, okay, you're following an actress. So, how do you help find that line?
If we're using Jessica Alba still as an example, I think that in this case, absolutely follow her. She was an actor, and now she's taken that her fame and everything she has to start this company and to make it successful. So if I'm like, oh, he follows Jessica Alba. What? Jessica Alba? Now I'm going to click on her profile, and now I'm going to say, oh, this isn't about her movie career. It's not about her acting. It's about her company that she started. I think that's fine. You want your LinkedIn to have that personal touch. You want to show that you're interested in different things and follow different things, regardless if it's, you want to keep it in your realm and your industry as much as you can, but that's not to say, maybe I follow Blizzard. I had a problem with World of Warcraft for a while. I'll follow Blizzard on LinkedIn. Do I? I should. But that gives it a personal touch. Now you're more human than you are just a piece of paper. I don't think that there are a lot of things on LinkedIn that you could follow that would make you look or put you in a bad light, essentially. that will come more from posts and things. And so posts, you need to be a little bit more careful. You could post something about an article on Jessica Alba about how she was, you know, a movie star and now she's creating this company. Like, that's something great to post. You're going to post how people teased her and said that she's the same character in every movie that she ever had. That's not for LinkedIn. Donald Trump Jr.'s on here. I get that it's professional for him. I'd be careful with the politics. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Anything else? Any other questions right now? Cool. So, like I said, I'll post this on the meetup site, or I'll send it. Can I just post it, or do you want me to send it to you? Okay. There's a lot of pretty cool stuff, articles for these links, to kind of give you a little bit more of an idea, kind of more in depth on specifics. LinkedIn etiquette, there's a little bit of what you were talking about in there, and then the LinkedIn do's and don'ts are good things. The frequently asked questions are cool. If you're not as familiar with LinkedIn, it's kind of the basics, like, all right, I have a profile picture. How important is it? There's some statistics in there, what to post, what not to post. The security and settings piece will show you how to limit your profile if you are a job seeker, and different, however you're trying to use it, what's important to toggle and things. So I encourage you to check those out. They're pretty good articles on there. And you can even search in LinkedIn too. LinkedIn has a good article, like help center, if you have a question about LinkedIn, not just this isn't working, like what should I do to post, to comment, and things too. Yeah, if you guys don't have any other questions. Yep.
So another question about pictures, because I know that having a profile picture definitely really good, but I noticed you didn't have a background picture, whereas the RMC webpage or their RMC site actually had a picture. Not thinking that background picture is very important.
So I have a picture. It's just really lame.
The background photo is the default LinkedIn one.
This piece, yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is. And that is because I am not, why is that still highlighted? I'm not savvy enough to make the picture the right size. I tried to have the Beaumont Tower, which is kind of a dumb thing to have because it's horizontal, not vertical. And it was all blurry and kind of awkward. And I played around with it for like 20 minutes and then I gave up. Yeah, I should have went to the marketing team over there. So that's why I have a stock one. I don't think that your background is going to be as important as your actual picture, as this piece. That's a piece that gives it character for you and, you know, makes it more human. So, Adrian, do you have one?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, okay. Adrian likes to go to the lake.
It's not positioned very well. It's Mackinac Bridge, but I guess you can't.
Oh,
Can you click on it?
no. Let's see if Caitlin's got one. But that's a little, no, she's got the stock one too. But that's just a way to make it more personable. If you didn't have it, no one's going to judge you on it. It might make you stand out a little bit more if you do have one. I know there's a lot of IT people that have like some pretty cool stuff in the background, like falling code and.
I would recommend to have one. Like Kerilyn said, it helps personalize your page a little bit more, but just make sure that it's still professional. Yeah.
Jim's is actually pretty great. So, RMC, we have a lot of Michigan pride, and there's a lot of what we do is trying to help Michigan's economy and, you know, support the mitten. Jim works out of our Novi office. He handles the Detroit market. So that's Yeah, that's a good background to have because it shows what he's passionate about, what he cares about. Obviously, I know that because I know Jim pretty well too, but just looking at it, you can kind of learn a little bit more. Anything else I can show you guys? Questions? Comments? Critiques? It's the first time I've ever presented. So thanks for being patient. Feel free, if you have any questions about anything that I can help with, LinkedIn related, market job related, we try to stay involved in the community and keep up to date with everything that's going on in the industry too. So here to be a resource, kind of in any regard. Follow me on Twitter, connect with me on LinkedIn.